I think we can all agree that pain fucking sucks. Whether you're carrying it in your body physically or you're carrying it in your heart and your mind and your relationship, the weight of pain can really affect our life. And what shows up so often is that we carry this weight because we feel like we've got no other choice, right? Because pain is just there. What are we going to do with it? But that's not actually true. You do have a choice. Today, we're diving into that, to the idea that there's no choices. We're going to tear that up. We're going to give you something else, something that gives you more agency, more possibility, more life, more love than you may be thinking is possible. And I've got a really amazing guest here today whose personal and professional scientific knowledge proves it. Welcome, my friends, to another Catalyst conversation for a relationship revolution. Here, we challenge the unquestioned assumptions about love, life, and leadership. We disrupt the patterns that are keeping you stuck, and we reveal the truths that no one's taught you. Here, we activate new ways of leading relationships courageously, consciously, differently, and dare I say, better. We do that so that you can have the kind of relationships and life that most people only dream of. So I'm glad that you're here. You ready? Let's get into it. This month's on Catalyst Conversations, we're in a series that I've been building toward for a while. It's called Hard-Won Truths, Lessons That Transform Everything. And the title says exactly what this means. This is not inspiration that you can just download or necessarily find on Google or ChatGPT, okay? This is not wisdom that you can skip to. The wisdom that we're sharing here in this series is the kind of knowing that only comes from being cracked open by life and choosing to let it reshape you instead of close you down. Every guest this month has lived something. Last week, I talked about what I've gone through and how it changed everything for me. And this week, today's guest has come out the other side with something real to say about love, leadership, and what it actually takes to create a life that you're proud of, and one that is a lot more painless, might I say. I'm really excited to bring her in. But before we do, I want to introduce myself for those of you who may be new to this work. My name is Dr. Jeni Wahlig. I am an award-winning relationship mentor, speaker, author, intuitive guide, and I am a relationship revolutionary. My mission: to revolutionize how we think about and go about our relationships and to redefine what it means to love so that we may all experience the true power and possibilities that our relationships have to offer. Because nothing, truly nothing, impacts the quality of our lives more than the quality of our relationships. And we're in relationship all the time, in every corner of our lives. Relationships are the infrastructure to everything that we build, and most of us have never learned how to do them well, let alone how to lead them consciously and relationally. Plus, much of what we have learned not only doesn't work, it also keeps us stuck and unhappy. So this revolution that I'm talking about is a great global healing through love, a return from separation into wholeness, a paradigm shift in the way humanity relates, loves, and leads, starting at the most intimate level. I'm here to change and improve this piece of our lives. And in these Catalyst conversations, my goal isn't just to give you insight, it's to wake something up in you so that you may be part of this revolution as well. And my guest today is going to do that too. She has spent 35 years sitting with people who are in pain. Real, confusing, persistent pain that doesn't make sense. She's a physical therapist, a fellow of pain science, and a national board certified health and wellness coach. And the framework she's built, Painless for Life, does something I believe in deeply, my friends. It doesn't manage pain. It helps people understand it at the nervous system level, at the choice level, at the level where healing actually begins. And what's so revolutionary is that Jen hasn't just learned about pain in the physical body. What she's learned translates to pain in our relational body as well. Jen, I want to bring you in. Welcome, my friend, to this catalyst conversation for relationship revolution. I'm so glad that you are here.
I am so captivated by your intro. I'm like, who is this guest you're bringing in? So
She's pretty badass.
I appreciate that. And I am very excited about this conversation.
Yes. So let's get into this. I mean, you have worked with people in serious, real, lasting pain. And it's brought you into a kind of work that that changes people's life. But we're not here just to talk about physical pain, right? We're here to talk about relational pain, and you've been through some of that too. Can you help us understand like why this conversation matters so much for people, whether they're in physical pain or relational pain or both? Why is this so important that we're having this conversation?
Pain is complex and it literally involves every system of our body and our nervous system, which is most important. And people always ask me, Jen, are you talking about physical pain or emotional pain? And the answer is yes. And so whether you are dealing with heartbreak from a relationship, it's going to somehow show up physically. Is it you're sleeping more? Is it you're unmotivated to get out of bed? Are you eating cookies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And when you have physical pain from an injury, from a surgery, it shows up emotionally as well. And so an example I like to give is that we'll use a mom. I don't know if your audience is more moms or business people, but moms are a good one. So if you come home and you stub your toe and you've had a good day, work went well, kids are all happy, your homework's done, it's going to be a very different experience than if you come home and the exact same toe stub, but your kids are screaming at you already. Somebody just dumped a half a gallon of orange juice on the floor and you just got an urgent message from your boss. So emotions and pain always go together. And relationships are a big piece of that. And I realized so many of my relationships were unhealthy, not from the perspective of the other person, but often because of the pedestal I put them on, because I didn't believe enough in myself to know to listen to the information in front of me to make a change.
Oh, that's real. Let's get into that a little bit more because, you know, we're here to talk about the hard-won lessons, and you've so much wisdom and so much really life-changing information to share. But I want to go to the root of it. Like, how did this wisdom show up for you? Tell us more about your like personal history with managing pain and your personal history with relationship pain, how they overlap, and what you have learned so profoundly. Can you share that with us?
Absolutely. I feel like since 2020, the shroud and the layers, they just keep flying off of me, revealing who I was meant to be the entire time. And
I love when that
my
happens.
pain story goes back to college where I had this unknown knee pain and I didn't know any better. As a PT now, I would be like, absolutely no surgery. But then I'm like, yeah, I need surgery. Well, I knew the moment that I woke up from anesthesia, my pain was exactly the same. So I dealt with that on and off for decades, and eventually that went away. And then in 2020, I started going through a really contentious divorce. And about 6 weeks before my son was supposed to start college in Spain, his dad backed out of taking him. So it's COVID, remember? And I now had to take him. I had to take his younger brother. He was missing the first football game of high school, which was devastating for him. Maybe not for you or I, but very devastating for him.
For sure.
And so this is when the pain came roaring back, absolutely roaring back. Hard to move, hard to walk. And the first glimpse of relief was when we got through airport security. Now, people might say, well, why is that? Well, it's not a coincidence because stress and pain are also very intimately connected. So
Yes.
we get to Spain. I have a lot of pain. I had to lift my leg in and out of bed. It was pretty intense. And at some point, I just realized I have a choice to make. I can
Mm.
let this pain drive and disrupt the entire trip, or I can choose what I use with my clients all the time and do something about it. And so that's what I chose. So I took action with doing little bits of exercise. I didn't use meds. I tapped into support and other different strategies. And by the end of the trip, I was running up and down the stairs with my kids, which I thought was fabulous. And one of the most important things is, even when you're experiencing pain, what are opportunities or gifts that you can recognize? And the gift of this unplanned trip to Spain was that I got to be with my 3 kids all together for the first
Mm.
time in nearly 2 years, because my other daughter was stuck in Spain for college. So that is part one of the story. There's a very brief part two, which brings us into relationships more, is that we were on our third mediation, and we are now doing a judge mediation because the
Mm.
first 2 were such miserable failures. And I thought, I cannot just do the same thing I did to prepare for the others. So once again, I used my pain science, my lifestyle medicine, my mental fitness knowledge, and I prepared for the mediation the way I would help someone overcome pain. And
Mm.
so one of the most powerful things I did was, this came to me the night before. I was like, I am going to stand up and reach across and shake his hand and say, we can do this, and just look him dead in the eye. And I was somewhat
Wow.
terrified, but less terrified than usual, because I had created a photo album on my phone called Compassion and Power. And this was pictures of him so that I could practice looking at him without fear and a visceral response.
I love that.
So we're going along. It's pretty slow. And I get this horrible offer. And I had practiced this. If this supposed worst case scenario happens, what am I going to do? Well, I knew
Mhm.
exactly what I was going to do. So I said to the judge and I said to my lawyer, if this is a hill he wants to die on, okay, I am going to walk out. And that was the beginning of the end, because then he came back to the table, and by 5:30 we had a signed agreement. So
Wow.
I'm using this in all different ways, personally and professionally. It's just, what's important to you? Where do you seem stuck? And where are you ready to get curious about where you do have choice?
Yeah. I love that, because what, your story is bringing into our awareness, both the connection between our emotional pain and our physical pain, and the way that, like, when we're in emotional pain, our physical pain can get worse or can show up out of nowhere, and vice versa. But also this beautiful paradigm shift that we can choose to do something different about it. That, like, the pain that we anticipate being in, whether it's because of a physical injury or because of a chronic pain condition or because of a painful relational dynamic that is occurring or has occurred, like, we're not helpless in any of those situations, and there's actually something that you can do about it.
Yes. And what you're saying reminds me of a very important phrase we have in the world of pain science. The fear of pain is worse than the pain itself. And when
Ah,
I'm speaking to groups, we can put that anywhere. The fear of a first date, the fear of a breakup, the fear of a divorce. And I've experienced too many of those, but nonetheless,
mhm.
our mind, in its desperate place of protecting us, does it too well. And so we
Yeah,
need to be able to find a way to interrupt it and get curious and choose a different path.
yeah, yeah. That's so real, and I talk to our clients all the time about that too, like the role of fear in our relational dynamics, that when you're in fear and self-protection, when your nervous system is activated, you don't have as many choices available to you because you're just in self-protective mode. And that fear and the suffering you're creating for yourself before something even happens takes you out of your power and your ability to respond consciously, to respond in a way that's in alignment with actually creating the results that you want to have. So learning how to manage fear almost, right, is connected to learning how to manage pain. Would you agree?
Fear is a huge piece of the work
Mm-hmm.
because people are afraid to do anything because they'll have pain, and that actually can make their pain worse. And the opposite extreme is the people who are like, the heck with it, I'm just going to blast on through. So if we have this dichotomy of I'm doing nothing because I'm afraid of pain,
Mm-hmm.
the unfortunate reality is your pain's going to get worse. If you're just going to blast right through it, the unfortunate reality is your pain's going to get worse. Here in the middle is education and understanding,
Mm.
movement in a way that your nervous system loves and appreciates, and then what are other strategies that we can help your nervous system calm down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like it's this consciousness piece where we're not just ignoring or reacting to or avoiding painful experiences. We're in a place of awareness and a place of knowledge and a place of intentional choosing around how we want to move forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And when it comes to relationships, those unhealthy patterns become so ingrained, like
Mhm.
literally ingrained patterns in your brain, that
Yes.
it's really, really, really hard to interrupt them. And I was having this conversation last night with my current partner, who is amazing. And it was interesting because in his previous relationship, he had this very, very distinct light bulb moment. He's like, if this happened while we were dating, I would have left. But there were
Mm.
circumstances that aren't mine to share, and he could not leave at that point.
Mhm.
And I was like, I didn't have that moment of clarity. And for me, it was because I kept owning the problems or rationalizing his behavior. And so I just like kept, right, that shroud, it just kept getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I had a choice. I really couldn't experience or perceive that. And I'm so grateful that I do now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad that you named that, Jen, because I find that happens with a lot of women in particular, that we can be really good at compassionately understanding where our partners are coming from or rationalizing their behavior um, and minimizing our own experience of it or owning like our piece of why it's happening, like taking it on as on for ourselves. Which, like for those who have been following me for a while, this is a really important distinction when I talk about like being the one and empowered accountability and leading your relationship. I am absolutely not talking about taking the onus of responsibility for everything.
Right.
What I'm talking about is getting conscious about what it is that we are trying to create for our lives, what we want to be experiencing, and thinking about like, how can I and where do I have the power to help create that? And a lot of the times, if we're just uh, excusing our partner's behavior or feeling like it's our fault and not saying anything, not risking rocking the boat or creating pain by speaking our truths or recognizing that we are worthy of something more and better, right? Then we're not actually in alignment with what we're trying to achieve, because what we want is a relationship that feels good. What we want is a relationship that isn't so painful. And if we just choose to say nothing and deal with the pain, just carry it ourselves, then it's not going to change. That's not an empowered choice. So that's not actually in alignment with leading your relationship. That's in alignment with taking the path that feels less scary, I would say. Does that make sense to you, Jen?
Everything you said makes sense. And I was that woman. So I can relate
Okay.
totally. Less scary. I don't know if I would say it was less scary.
Mm,
I would say I didn't have the capacity or the knowledge to know I
mm.
could do something different and survive.
Fair point. Fair point. And that's, um, I think that that's a piece where like the fear comes in, because it's like, if I
Mhm.
did something different, I don't know if I would survive. So it's way fucking scary to think
Right.
about doing anything different, because my whole life would fall apart.
Yes.
Right. So like, I name scary, but that word, like scary, feels like scary movie kind of, right? Like
Well,
we're
it
talking,
was absolutely scary. Scary is a good word.
but we
In my
don't we
case,
don't we
the
don't
less
associate it.
scary. Yeah.
Right. And yes, and to your point, which I'm glad you brought up, because it reminds me that I wanted to highlight this. A lot of the times we don't realize that we have other choices.
Right.
Like
Right.
it feels like this is the only choice that we have in front of us. And there's no judgment here. If you're a woman in that position and you're like, I don't know what else I could do. Like, I mean, take something super simple, like, um, not doing all of the labor in the household, right? Like, I don't have a choice. If I didn't do it, it wouldn't get done, right? And the reality is, it may not, if you
If it's
just stopped doing it, if that was your choice. But there are other choices in there, in between either doing it or not doing it, right? Like relationally informed choices for how we want to respond to the fact that I don't want to do this all by myself, or I'm in pain today and I can't, right? It's not like, well, I have to, I can't just not. Like, no, there are choices.
right. Pacing is a huge piece for people with pain. And this is true if you're in the pain of a massive breakup, right? You're like,
Mm,
I can't get out of bed. I don't have a choice to get out of bed. You can choose to get out of bed for 2 minutes and
mhm.
see how it goes. And talking about choice, I'm reminded with a conversation with my middle son, and we've had a lot of conversations about this because he gets into that. I don't have a choice. I have to. And then one time I said, I just want to remind you that you do have the choice. And he's like, I know, mom, but sometimes having the choice makes it harder.
Yes.
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 Right? It's easier to stay stuck and claim there's no choice.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it takes a lot more energy, and honestly, like, self responsibility to find choices and to make choices, because again, our nervous systems want to keep us safe, and oftentimes what is safe, what is like what is familiar, even if what's familiar is painful.
Mhm. I really appreciate how you just said self responsibility because in so many relationships, there's a lot of blame and shame.
Yeah, finger
And we
pointing.
have to own ours and let them own theirs.
Yes.
And perhaps one of the most freeing moments of my life was I think 3 weeks after we decided that we were Kaputsville, we went on a trip with 3 or 4 other families that had been
Mhm.
long planned. And I stopped owning his behavior. And when he was not nice to other people, I was like, don't know. And it was just amazing to not have to own his behavior and over explain why he's like that. And I'm like, got me. Ask him.
Yes. Oh, that's huge.
It was.
It's so liberating to recognize where that boundary ends.
Yeah. That's
Um,
a very good word. Liberating. I'm on it.
yes. Yeah. And I gotta say too, like, the finger pointing, the blame, shame, and guilt, like, we don't want to direct that toward ourselves either. There's a difference between feeling guilty and ashamed, like, why did I stay, or why do I keep doing this pattern, and just owning it from a place of like compassion and sovereign truth telling of, yep, that was what I did, and I did it because the me at the time was here, and now I have that awareness so I can make new choices.
Have you heard of Brene Brown? It's so simple. Her difference between guilt and shame, which I just love.
Share it with us.
She says, guilt is I did something bad. I'm not a fan of the word bad, but we'll use it for these purposes.
Yeah.
So guilt is I did something bad,
Mhm.
and shame is I am bad.
Yeah. There it is. And that makes a huge difference. I mean, even if you are in guilt, because there is, like there's a time and a place for some healthy guilt,
Right.
regret,
Mhm.
right? Remorse. But when we talk about like the pain and painful situations, like embodying and carrying the shroud of pain in our lives and what happens physiologically, when we're in shame, that pain is so much more. When we feel like we are somehow flawed or bad in our essence.
Yes. And for like in the past, most of us are operating on a pain model that's literally 400 years old. And
Mm.
it was spiritual, right? You're either okay or you're not. It's either in
Uh-huh.
your tissues or it's in your head, or you need to be bloodletting. Like, who even knows what that is? But that's what they would do to get rid of the evil spirits because that was causing your pain. Oh my gosh, imagine being those poor people
Mm.
who are losing blood
I can't
because
even.
they have a spirit inhabiting them. It's so sad. And it's sad that that's the model we're still using.
Yeah. Well, say more about that. Like how are we still using that model for pain?
Yeah. So Rene Descartes, 370, 80 years ago, told us that pain was either in the tissues
Like
or
in our
in
body?
the head.
Mhm.
So right in the body. So either we can cut off that body part. That's not true because we know people with phantom limb pain, like if you've lost a limb and you have pain, that body part is still represented in your brain.
Yep.
And so then, oh, well, we could like burn it. And so we're using lots of drugs and injections. And well, that's not helping because people are getting addicted to these drugs. And then the other one is, well, we can cut it off or we can just say that you're crazy. Well, none
Mm.
of those are true because we know that all pain is real. We just got to put that out there. Scientists have never scanned fake pain. So that's good to know for anyone experiencing pain. And there's this myth, thanks to Rene Descartes, that if you have pain, you must have tissue damage.
Mm.
They are not the same at all. And here's a really good example. Have you ever had a bruise on your body and you didn't know where it came from?
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
That is tissue damage.
Mhm.
But you didn't have pain because your brain didn't care. It wasn't worried about you. You were having fun mountain biking or playing football or whatever it was. And the opposite is also true. Have you
Mhm.
ever had a stomach ache because you're nervous about a talk or a presentation or something?
Sure.
Right? That's real discomfort and pain in your stomach, but there's nothing wrong with your stomach. It's that emotional connection brain piece. So that is really important for people to understand that we can have tissue damage and zero pain, and we can have tons of pain and no tissue damage and anything in between. And
Mhm.
that's why treating pain is unique to each person because
Mhm.
it's not a conveyor belt.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I really appreciate you like naming that all pain is real. And I want to really highlight that for anybody listening. Your pain is real. Your pain is valid. The pain of fighting, like we can feel that physically. The pain of disconnection in our
Mhm,
relationship, the pain of loss, like
mhm.
that can actually like hurt in our hearts. I believe there've been studies that demonstrate like that our pain centers fire, right? When we're in emotional pain or heartbreak pain. And haven't there been people who have like died from heartbreak
I've
or
I've read
disappointment?
those studies. We actually don't have a pain center in our brain,
Oh,
but
okay.
there are
Okay.
9 parts of the brain that participate in every pain experience.
Wow. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Yeah, no problem. And it's fascinating because we also don't have pain nerves or pain sensors. It is information that goes up to the brain, and the brain has to decide it is a choice whether or not it will create pain. The
What?
brain will create pain when it perceives a threat. It could be a real threat, it could be a perceived threat, but if it's worried about you, you're going to have pain.
That's fucking crazy.
I know
But
it is.
amazing. I love our brain.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty amazing.
it brings me back to like, I don't know, high school science or something. I'm thinking about like, our nerve receptors. I know there's like the hot and the cold and the pressure, but there's not actually pain sensors.
No, we have 900 other named sensors, but we do not have pain nerves or pain sensors.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's so like profoundly important, like that little nugget of gold that you dropped, Jen, that like to highlight or to use as evidence of how powerful our mind is, how powerful our brains are, and the stories, the perception, the meaning that we give to our experiences, which is entirely relevant for, I think, both physical pain and emotional pain. Because when we're focusing on it and we're like in suffering about the fact that something's painful is there, it increases because we're telling our brains, this is a threat. I am in danger. This is a bad thing.
Correct. Yeah. And we talk about like a roundabout of pain, fear, avoidance, disability. My job is to help you find the exit ramp. Okay. Can I give you a fun little fact that's going to tie into what you just said?
Yes, please. I love
It's actually a question. How many pieces of information do you think your brain processes every second, and its job is to protect you?
I feel like it's something like 11 million.
Oh man, have we had this conversation before?
No, but I've learned it.
11 million.
I've
So
learned brain
why
stuff.
do I talk to my clients about that? I talk to them about that. And it's the same with relationships, right? You're never going to figure out what happened in a relationship that went south. You're never going to fully figure out what's going on with your pain. What's more important is to understand, in this case, how relationships work. In my work, how pain works, so that you can choose your best path out.
Yes. Thank you. Listen, if you guys didn't catch that, 11 million pieces of information every fucking second that your brain is sorting through.
Means every 30 seconds of this podcast, it's 333 million pieces of information.
How much of that are we actually taking in? Are we actually registering as important? Are we actually making neural connections of understanding? This is why our understanding is so different from someone else's, right? Like you listening to this and your spouse listening to this, you're going to take away completely different experiences because your brain is filtering different things. And if anything that we're saying is attached in your mind to what has caused pain before, what could cause pain in the future, what could be scary or threatening in your relationship or in your life, you're going to connect to that very differently.
I love that add-on. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, this is such a good conversation. Okay, so one thing that I really wanted to make sure that we talked about today, that I've heard you talk about, Jen, is this shift from like I have to do something, like I have to, I need to, into I get to and I choose to. And I know we've talked a lot about choice, but this deceptively simple sentence, this little like 2 millimeter distinction from like I have to and I get to, or I need to, or I can choose to, like it is life changing. And so I was hoping you could just like I don't know, drill that in a little bit more. Like why is that piece in particular so important when we're talking about like managing the painful pieces of our life experience?
It's an off-ramp. And we need the off-ramp because it started with gratitude. Like I created this silly little thing called a gratitude with a B. It's a tube that you put your gratitude in.
Okay.
And at some point, like during divorce, I'm in part of several different divorce things, and people are saying, that's too heavy. Gratitude is too heavy. And then somebody said, well, I get to. So she created her own get to jar. And I thought, this is beautiful, right? Because we have the do too much, cause more pain. Do nothing, cause more pain. Gratitude, that's heavy when you're going through divorce and breakups and whatnot. Doing nothing, that's not helpful. But I get to get up and wash my face. I get to make oatmeal for breakfast. I get to enjoy the peace in this house without yelling. And I need to is much more shaming. I have to, so much urgency around it. I get to contact my lawyer about the latest agreement and the challenges I have versus I have to. And it's just such a tiny little shift. But that's so much of what pain science is about, is really helping people shift. We have something called the fear avoidance model. This is like a scientific thing. And we need to shift them from pain focus to goal focused. And these are the people that find the off ramp.
From pain focus to goal focus. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool research. And when people, right, you can have an injury or an emotional overload, because emotional overload is enough to create the experience of chronic pain. And broadly, people can go in two directions. If we go in the fear direction, now we're catastrophizing, we are not using our bodies, we're developing disability, and it becomes its own cycle, like a rat on a wheel. Now, you can have the exact same experience or emotional overload, but if you are curious to get knowledge and you have goals and intentions, you're going to go off the ramp and not get stuck in the roundabout.
That's so good. That's so good. And I really appreciate, again, Jen, that you're bringing in both the emotional overload and its connection to pain and like the physical pain. And I hope that everybody listening is getting this, right? That like on our nervous system level, our nervous system doesn't actually know the same. It's the choice that our brain is making. But when you're focusing on it, on the pain, or you're focusing on what you get to do and this new goal that you're moving toward, you have the option to get out of that cycle.
Yeah.
And that's where your opportunities for a lot less pain in your life reside. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Jen, you came up with a model that you call Painless for Life. Yeah.
Yeah. I changed the emphasis and it's painless. And it was really cool because I did this 8-hour coaching session with this guy. He was amazing. And he's like, yeah, pain free. I'm like, nope, nope, nope. Pain free is not the goal. Yeah. And everybody's going to understand this. Do you want to put your hand on a hot stove and not feel it? Of course not. You want to know before you smell burning flesh. So pain is this beautiful protective thing. Sometimes it does its job too well. And I describe it as, if I chucked a brick through your front window, would you want your house alarm to go off?
Probably.
Yeah. But if the sensitivity of the alarm got altered and a leaf hit your window and your house alarm went off, is your house okay?
Yes.
Your
Probably
house
don't need the alarm.
Right? So I ask my clients, is it possible your house, your body's okay? And we need to focus on the sensitivity of the alarm. But we don't want it to turn off. We just want it to turn down, because pain is information, valuable information, unless the sensitivity is skyrocketed. That's painless for life.
That's so good. That's so good. So if someone is listening right now and they're exhausted, they're emotionally overwhelmed, they've been carrying pain, physical, emotional, maybe both. And listening to this, my hope is there's a little crack of hope that maybe things could be less painful in her life. What would you say, Jen, is the first thing that she should do or could do to start creating this shift for her?
In the moment, curiosity. When you feel pain, if you can stop long enough to ask, am I safe? Because if you're sitting in your chair reading and suddenly you have this horrible neck pain, okay, are you safe? Chances are you are, unless somebody is hitting you in the neck with a hammer.
Right. I hope not. Gosh,
Right,
I hope not.
exactly. That's a whole nother problem. But if
It's a
you
different
are safe,
conversation.
yeah, you can remind yourself. Like I use mantras a lot with my clients.
Mm,
And that is a really good starting point for someone to use and take home right now. Movement is key. Our nervous
mm,
system loves blood flow.
yeah.
So even just a little bit, 5 or 10 minute walk, if you're able to do that, it calms the nerves down, getting your system closer to a brick, setting it off rather than
Mm.
a leaf. And then learn, get curious. I'm a little nervous about Dr. Chatty G and Dr. Google, but find reputable sites. Of course, you could reach out to me so that you can learn more about how pain actually works with today's science, not that from 400 years ago.
Mhm. I love that. That's so good. And it reminds me of a conversation that I had last month too. I was talking to um, Deborah Feathers about like the patterns that we get stuck in and the pain after breakup or a major transition, and like this curiosity piece is coming up again of like when we when we slow down enough not to just react but
Yeah.
to get curious
Mhm.
from a um, from our wise adult self. Oh, my necklace is not attached. Um, then then we can like actually help our nervous system to recognize that we're safe,
Are you
right?
familiar
That
with the quote from Viktor Frankl?
oh, I probably, but please remind me because I don't have the quote memorized.
I probably won't say it exactly word for word, but between every stimulus and response and every stimulus and action, there is this space. And
Hmm.
you said the word react, right? If we can choose to respond, and he says, in that space lies your freedom.
Yes, yes. Oh, I have heard that quote, and it's freaking brilliant,
It
right?
really is. And he wrote that when he was in a Nazi concentration camp, which
Yeah.
is just okay. If he can come up with that in that environment,
Uh-huh.
what's available to me with my pain from surgery, from relationship, whatever it is?
Yeah.
What choice
Oh,
do I have
got goosebumps.
that I didn't really realize I had?
Yep. Yep. Between our stimulus and our response
Yeah.
is a
I
place
Yeah.
where we can choose, and that's our freedom. Yeah. Ah, so good.
Yeah.
Um, so as we wrap up, I would love for you to share just a little bit about like what becomes possible for the woman or the person who learns how to make this shift from having to getting to, from focusing on the pain to focusing on the goal, from recognizing that there is a way out, there is a way to live painless in our lives. What is that? What happens for her? What happened for you? What gets to open up and become possible that wasn't possible before?
The only person who knows that answer is the person who gets to that place because we
Mm,
don't know what's going to open up. I was convinced 100% that I was going to be alone for the rest of my life and that was going to be fine. I'd have close friends, da, 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 da. And now it's nearly 3 years in this relationship, which I still tell him it's very weird and he's weird. And I could have never anticipated it. So again, choosing to take these steps and you don't know what's going to open up for you.
mhm,
Your life is going to open up for you, but I can't define that. You have to
mhm.
experience it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like everything that we desire that we don't yet have exists in that unknown,
Mm.
exists on the other side of what's familiar and what's comfortable. And the truth is like painful patterns, pain in our bodies, it can become familiar.
Oh, we can become very good at pain. And
Yes.
it is a pathway.
Yep.
And the joy of neuroplasticity is that we can change those pathways, right? So if I walk across my grass once or twice, nothing's going to happen. I do it thousands of times. That's the pathway. Well, it's going to take a lot of effort to create a new dominant pathway, but that's what we're doing, creating new pathways of safety, whether it's pain or overcoming a challenging relationship.
Mm-hmm. So good. Jen, before I let you go, if you could leave our listeners with like one key message, one thing that you most want them to hear or remember, what would it be?
You don't have to live like this. We have the science. And if you are working with a provider who does not believe you, trust you, support you, please advocate for yourself, stand up, and walk out.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Because your pain is real. And there are ways.
100%. If somebody tells you it's all in your head, they say, well, the scale only goes to 10. You cannot have a 12 out of 10 pain. That is your cue to walk out.
Find someone else. Because my pain is at 12. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. And I think a lot of us, a lot of people, women in particular, only because we are socialized to take a one down position, don't recognize that we have the permission to challenge those in power and authority if what they're trying to tell us is not aligned with our lived experience. Trust yourself, sweetie.
I think you said that in like the first 5 minutes, right?
I
we
probably
give
did.
our power away.
Yes. Yeah.
Too often.
Yeah. Well, I know that you have a really awesome gift for anybody listening. Do you want to take a minute to share what that is?
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. These are the Painless for a Life of More cards. There are 6 different topics. The full deck is 52 cards, but we're going to share a link with you where you could get like the mini deck for free. And do you want a link for a percentage off the whole deck?
Sure, if you want to share them, I'll make sure it gets into the show notes.
The topics, let's see, mindset, education, sleep, nutrition, social connections, and exercise. So do you want to pick a card between 1 and 52 and I'll read one card?
Yeah, I picked number 8. It's my favorite number.
8 it is in the pain science education category. The mental fitness pause. A single intentional pause shifts your brain towards structures for calm and relief. Use this pause as a reset button when stress arises.
Beautiful. Such a great little tip. Like it really makes a difference. Just pausing.
It really does. Yeah.
We need that reminder sometimes. I love it. So you can get the mini toolkit of these painless cards with the link that is in the description. I will add another link for a discount code if you want the full set. Where if people have questions or want to work with you, Jen, how can they do that? How can they get a hold of you? How can they work with you?
I'm very active on LinkedIn. If you just look up my name, which is there. And then also my website is jenuschold.com. And I am super excited, Jenny. I haven't even told you this. I am in May starting a series of improv for pain. It's going to be a 6-week series. We're going to do a pain science story because we learn through stories. And then we're going to do warm-ups. And then we're going to do 2 to 3 improv games that complement the theme. And then we're going to reflect and integrate until the next week.
Amazing. That sounds so cool. And is that virtual or in person?
It's going to start in person, and I'm hoping very quickly to make it virtual.
Okay. That is awesome. What a cool opportunity for people. So, and you're located out in the DC area?
Yep. I'm in Alexandria, Virginia, outside of DC.
Okay. So people who are local, get to that improv class, stay connected to Jen, follow her work, reach out if you've got questions. She is the real deal. And I know that if you are struggling with pain in your body, in your life, this is a woman you want to be connected to. This is a woman that you want to work with.
Thank
Jen,
you.
thank you so much for being here. I'm going to move you to the other room so I can wrap up. I just want to really appreciate all of the knowledge and wisdom and like hard-won truths that you have come to learn through your own life experience, so that we may learn them without having to struggle, hopefully quite as painfully.
Thank you. And I really appreciate the energy of the co-created conversation.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Listen, my friends, if this episode moved you, and I am moved, I am inspired, I've learned a lot of new, really great things. If you did too, I would love for you to do something for me right now. Subscribe to the Relationship Revolutionary wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a review on this episode. Share it with at least one woman who needs to hear this story today. Your word of mouth is what gets this conversation into rooms that it hasn't been yet. And if you want to help me activate and accelerate this global movement in revolutionizing relationships, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Share about our work, attend our events, and of course, do your part to lead with love. If you're looking for support for yourself, reach out. There are numerous ways that we can support you. One of which is the Relationship Revolution community. This is a space for powerful women and the partners who love them to come to learn how to lead love differently with truth and courage and a lot of support. This is a monthly membership, and it's unlike anything else you're going to find out there. So if you're done learning alone and you're ready to be a part of a community that gets it and supports you in ongoing growth and evolution of your relationship, this is your place. There's a link to learn more and join us in the description of this show. And I also want to share, if you're listening in the month of March 2026, and you're a woman who is ready to stop waiting and start leading her relationship with a lot more intention and create change, deep, powerful, lasting change quickly, then I want to invite you to consider the Catalyst VIP Day, which is something I'm only offering this month. This is one full day with me focused entirely on you and your relationship. We are going to go deep, identifying exactly why you're stuck, and we're going to build a clear, embodied plan for how to help you move forward. You'll leave with more clarity, more confidence, and more tools than most people get in months of working with me alone. Remember, if Jen's message today woke something up within you, if I get to choose landed as something real and more than just a nice idea, these spaces are how you go further. You can comment Catalyst below to get more information and next steps on the Catalyst VIP Day, and we will talk. Listen, I'm so glad that you are here for this conversation. I hope to see you next time for another Catalyst conversation in the Relationship Revolution. New episodes drop every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific. Next week, we're going to continue the conversation on hard-won truths. We've got another really life-changing, game-changing conversation and guest expert. I hope to see you there. Until then, keep leading with love, my friend.